To know about India's foreign policy, we need to first understand its background. Background of India's foreign policy. India's foreign policy has been influenced by the ideas of peace and tolerance which comes from our ancient history. Indian culture teaches us that the whole world is like a family. Vasudhaiv Kutumbakam. The principle of international peace and understanding has also influenced our foreign policy. As we know, India became independent on the 15th of August 1947. It was necessary for India to decide her own foreign policy. The base of India's foreign policy had been decided in the pre-independence period itself. Let us try to understand the outline of the principles of India's foreign policy. 1. Opposition to colonialism. 2. Cooperation with peace-loving nations. 3. Opposing any distinction on the basis of race or color. 4. Supporting the freedom struggles in other countries. 5. Striving to establish world peace. On the 7th of September 1946, Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru, head of the interim government, stated the main objectives of India's foreign policy. He did not want any other nation to interfere in framing our foreign policy and did not fall prey to the pressures of other nations. Students, do you know what are the basic objectives of India's foreign policy? Protecting the independence of the nation, preserving our territorial integrity. We are all aware that our constitution consists of various articles. Article 51 of the Directive Principles of the Constitution of India guides the Government of India regarding international transactions and affairs. This article states the principles of our foreign policy. The following objectives are to be achieved through this article. To promote international peace and security. To maintain just and honorable relations between nations. To foster respect for international law. To encourage the resolving of international issues peacefully and through tribunals. Let's look at the main features of India's foreign policy. 1. Opposition to imperialism and colonialism. Imperialism means disrespect for the freedom and sovereignty of other nations. It dominates other nations in different ways to promote one's own national interest. Colonialism is also a kind of imperialism. Some countries are powerful and they conquer their territories and dominate over that region. This is called colonialism. Now, let us look at the other feature called preserving international peace. India is committed to the principles of peace. India always relied on negotiation and dialogue to resolve international issues. The nature of India's peaceful policy is constructive. The acceptance of a policy of peace does not mean being passive. Rather, it is a concrete endeavor at establishing peace in the world. The preservation of international peace is the core of India's foreign policy. Here comes the third feature, focus on preserving friendly relations. It is one of the most important features of India's foreign policy. Friendly relations help to increase cultural, educational, and economical give and take between nations. Let us now see the principles of Panchsheel. The principles of Panchsheel were put forth by Pandit Nehru in 1954. They are the pillars of India's foreign policy. The 5 principles of Panchsheel are: 1. Mutual respect for territorial integrity and sovereignty. 2. Mutual non-aggression. 3. Mutual non-interference in each other's internal affairs. 4. Equality and mutual benefit. 5. Peaceful coexistence. The above principles of Panchsheel expect that no country should be pressurized or interfered regarding its ideological, political or economic matters. Thus, we can see that India always relied on peaceful talks to solve any problems it had to face from other countries. Now, let's look at the next feature, non-alignment. Students, after the Second World War, the Soviet Union and America emerged as the two superpowers. There were many differences between the two nations. Their relations became unfriendly and tense. This was known as the Cold War. During this period, both nations wanted new independent countries to support them. But India, under the leadership of Nehru, refused any such move and did not participate in any camp, as it did not want to be dominated by other countries. This stand of independence and peace, taken by India in context of the Cold War, is termed as policy of non-alignment. Thus, it is a remarkable feature of India's foreign policy. Now let's look at the non-aligned movement. Do you know, students, that this non-aligned movement became so important that all newly emerging independent countries in the continents of Asia and Africa supported this idea? The non-aligned movement started in 1961 under the leadership of the first Prime Minister of India, Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru, the President of Yugoslavia, Marshal Tito, the President of Egypt, Gamal Abdel Nasser, the President of Indonesia, Sukarno, and the Prime Minister of Ghana, Kwame Nkrumah. Now, let's look at the evaluation of the non-aligned movement. It opposed oppressive policies of imperialism, colonialism, and racism. It encouraged the use of peaceful methods in resolving international disputes. Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru guided this movement in India. It is based on the eternal values of humanism, international peace, and equality. It motivated the less developed countries to come together. Also, it gave new confidence to such countries to stand with dignity in international politics.